Sometimes, when you want to do an episode on a certain video game or movie, you remember that there's that one game that is basically the weird child of Buddhist/Hindu mythologies and science fiction wrapped up in an anime coding. What, you don't remember that game? How about this? How about this game? Asura's Wrath was a beat-em-up made by CyberConnect 2, the company behind the Dot Hack franchise. Don't worry, we'll talk about that series in a later episode. Eventually, you will see more of Kite in Haseo. Asura's Wrath was the company's first original IP after finishing the Dot Hack GU trilogy. The game began development in 2007 with the main priority of the game being that everyone could understand it. CyberConnect 2's CEO Hishiro Matsuyama said this about the principles behind the game's creation. Our main concept was that we wanted to reach out to audiences all over the world with Asura's Wrath. That's why we focused on Wrath as our main concept. It's something that anybody can relate to. It's an emotion that's very powerful. It's sometimes seen as negative, but it can be a driving force that helps you overcome any obstacle. The game released in February of 2012 to positive reviews for its unique art style and its wild set pieces. The overall feel of the game was akin to Dragon Ball Z, but angrier. Like, really, really angry. Now the story? Oh, good lord, the story. Sit back as I struggle to say all of this without my head spinning. Story. Asura versus the world. The story takes place on Gaia, a world inhabited by human tribes. The game opens as the world is overwhelmed and under threat by a demonic, destructive race known as the Goma. Attempting to purify Gaia of their presence, the powerful and technologically advanced godlike cyborgs known as the Eight Guardian Generals, led by Emperor Strata, lead an immense fleet of warships to fight the Goma. The protagonist, Asura, is one of these generals, along with his mentor Igus, his rival/brother-in-law Yasha, Deus, Olga, Sergei, Wyzen, and Kalro. As the generals engage in battle with the Goma, Asura's daughter Mithra acts as the priestess of Shinkoku to empower him and the other generals to defeat the Goma's source Viltra, who literally tears open the planet when it reveals itself. While only subdued, the generals claim victory over Viltra. Back on Gaia, Asura is summoned by the Emperor only to find him dead upon arrival, with the arriving guards accusing him of regicide and treason. Distraught, Asura flees the palace after being forced to defend himself from Wyzen, returning to find his wife Durga fatally wounded, revealing Mithra was kidnapped before she dies. Asura eventually locates Mithra, who is guarded by the other generals, but he is sent to his death by Deus, who reveals himself as the Emperor's murderer, and he will use Mithra to save the world. Are you still with me? Alright, there's a little bit more to go. Asura finds himself in limbo of Naraka, where a mysterious golden spider goads him in regaining his memories and climbing back into the mortal world. When he returns, 12,000 years have passed and Gaia's situation hasn't improved, with the Goma still causing destruction across the planet. Asura soon confronts Wyzen, who claims that the 7 remaining generals have become the 7 deities through the power of mantra, a cosmic energy collected with the souls of their human worshippers and distilled through Mithra. Filled with rage upon remembering his past, Asura channels mantra on his own, a feat the deities thought impossible, and destroys Wyzen in a long battle at the cost of his arms. However, Yasha arrives and easily kills Asura, dropping him into molten rock. 500 years pass and Asura's body has been excavated and worshipped by a small village, coming back to life as he encounters a young girl resembling Mithra. Not long after, Carlo arrives and begins blatantly killing humans for mantra. Asura manages to destroy Carlo's fleet before crushing him inside his own escape pod, learning from the pleading deity that Deus intends to wipe out the Goma for good. Following this, Asura falls back to Earth where he encounters August, who convinces him to drink and relax before they duel on the moon. Though August has the upper hand, Asura manages to break the sword and use the broken half to gut August, who dies satisfied with the duel. Asura returns to the village with the girl from before, but it is bombarded by another fleet led by Olga. While Asura survives, he is overwhelmed with rage upon finding the girl had been killed, transforming into a demonic version of himself powerful enough to wipe out most of the armada. Olga then resorts in using the deity's planet-sized superweapon, the Brahmastra, but Yasha feels that using the weapon on Asura will only waste the thousands of souls collected for use against Agoma. Yasha manages to stop the weapon in mid-fire, but Asura goes missing in the blast. Following his actions, Deus orders Yasha, under the supervision of Sergei, to strike at the Goma attacking a human city. Despite Yasha's best efforts to purify the Goma and halt their advance, Sergei bombards both them and the city for more souls. As Yasha commanded from space most of the time, he only now realizes the needless mass slaughter of humans for Mandra. Asura then reappears, still consumed by rage, and kills Sergei, but not before he reveals himself as Durga's murderer. Something Yasha knew all along, yet he still chose to side with Deus. Realizing Asura had become uncontrollable with rage, Yasha manages to subdue him back to his normal state as the two of them travel to Deus' ship. They confront Deus, where Yasha states that the cause is worthless if trillions had to die in the process, while also at the cost of Mithra's own suffering, shown to be drained out of the mantra she can collect and manipulate. Deus reveals he warned the Emperor over Vlitra's return but was dismissed, thus enacting his betrayal. Both Asura and Yasha battle Deus, but Asura nearly being consumed by rage again, but managing to resist, despite indirect encouragement from the Golden Spire. Following a defeat, Deus claims that with his last breath that only he can save Gaia, whereupon Vlitra returns once more, larger and more powerful than before. Asura and Yasha agree to battle it, even at the great odds, yet Mithra manipulates the mantra in their aid, where both of them break into the center and destroy Vlitra's core. While Asura does not know if it was truly defeated, he and Yasha return and reunite with Mithra. Hey, hello? Are you still there? Oh, okay, good. Olga, unhinged by Deus' death, attempts to kill Mithra in front of Asura, but the Golden Spider appears and kills Olga before taking residence in Mithra's body, sealing her away while revealing his true form, Chakravartin, the Lord of Creation. Chakravartin states that he unleashed the Goma to test Asura as a worthy inheritor of Gaia. Asura and Yasha attack Chakravartin, only to find themselves outmatched and sent falling back to the planet, with Chakravartin proclaiming he will destroy the world and remake it once more. Settling things with Asura in a final duel, Yasha sacrifices himself to give his friend his mantra core and the Brahmastra's mantra reactor, so he can use mantra without destroying his body. Chakravartin fires a doomsday blast at Gaia, but Asura, as he enters space, transformed into a nearly godly form called Asura the Destroyer, and deflects it. Asura engages Chakravartin in a battle that causes the very fabric of time and space to come apart with all of creation, eventually bringing down Chakravartin by sheer force of will, but before Asura can finish him, Mithra breaks free and urges him to stop, since if Chakravartin is killed, all mantra-powered beings will cease to function, including Asura himself. Asura chooses to destroy Chakravartin nonetheless, satisfied so long as Mithra can live free from danger. As the landscape around him collapses, Asura shares his final words with Mithra and vanishes, free of wrath for the first time in his life. Mithra is sent back to Gaia, where she integrates with the surviving humans, spending many years, centuries, given her demigoddess lifespan, recounting the tales of her father to the mortal children of Gaia. See? Shin Megami Tensei games aren't the only games where you killed God. Gameplay! Kill them all, Asura! Kill! Each level in the game is done like an anime episode, reciting what happened in the previous episode and making sure you know what's about to go down. Most of the time will be some false fighting sequence followed by a quick time event followed by a cutscene, then rinse and repeat. The gameplay does get repetitive, but due to the story, it's easy to overlook. There are 22 episodes to go through, with the average playthrough taking around 8 hours. And 6 hours of that is cutscenes. No, I'm dead serious. Like, look, it is a little excessive, but I can't overlook it. Kinda. Alright, I'm a level with you here. I love this game. Each game or movie I do for this show is played or watched several times to get a good look at the type of video I want to do. I played through this game 3 times, skipping cutscenes on the second and third playthrough. It only took me 4 hours for the last 2 playthroughs without the cutscenes. It's very excessive. Now, compare that to any other game released in 2012. No other game from that year had half the amount of cutscenes. My main issue here is that I understand why the team did it, but maybe if they toned down a few scenes, it would have been more exciting to play instead of watch. But as a video game movie, yes, I love it. As a game, I wouldn't spend the rest of my life playing it. But that's besides the point. Throughout the game, in certain story moments, Asura will transform. Asura has 9 different transformations, each one being unique from one another. While this did allow the game to have a little bit of variety, the gameplay was still dull and repetitive. But the characters and music outshine the gameplay by a ton. Characters and music. Gods ain't never sounded or looked this good. Many games around the time that Asura's Wrath came out were going for the more realistic look, and Asura went all the way into its comic book cel-shaded look wholeheartedly. The overall look of the game fits the story as each character looks like they have their own story to tell. Even minor characters like Durga are interesting as care was put into how they look and how they feel in the world. And though the game does have its lacking moments of color, that changes during certain boss battles due to set pieces and how ridiculous the game can get. Did I mention that Asura almost gets squished by a giant finger and basically saves the entire world of Gaia because of his pure, raw, horny energy? No? Huh. Must have missed that. Alright. Each of the generals have a mantra affinity. Mantras in the game are the cosmic energies produced by emotions, made either from the souls of mortals or from prayers. There are 8 in total. Pride, lust, wrath, vanity, greed, violence, melancholy, and sloth. Each of the generals are unique in their design, and their designs often coincide with their mantra affinities. Although most characters are only seen for a limited amount of time, each one feels real, and their relationships with one another feel real and realized. But you want to know what else feels real? That music! This game's soundtrack is amazing. I will say that many of the tracks sound similar, but that they do change frequently, and the composer, Chikakyo Fukuda, did an amazing job with the overall feel of the soundtrack. Some games use licensed music for their soundtrack that does nothing to enhance the game, but Asura's Wrath uses licensed music in the best way. In one of the more significant boss battles, you go to the moon. Now, the song in question that is used is Symphony No. 9 in E minor from the New World, but most specifically the 4th movement, Allegro con Fukuoka. The piece is used to emit the feeling of 2 people fighting each other just for the thrill of it. While it is one of the most over-the-top moments in the game, it is widely considered to be one of the best fights in video game history. That is a testament to how well both the music and gameplay coexist. One gripe I have with the look of the game is that some characters look very similar to others, especially Asura and August. Both bear the same look, all the way to the white hair, and their bodies are similar as well. Every other character is different from Asura, but August was the one exception. But that's only a minor complaint. Reception and controversy. 2 sides of a coin. Now, as you would expect, Capcom, the publisher, had little hope for the game when it was released in the United States and the UK. When it only sold 36,000 copies in its first month in the US, Capcom said that it went exactly as they thought. Reviews of the game were mixed, as many publications stated that it was the best game to do the episodic structure in quite some time. But other publications stated that the gameplay was stale and that there was too much yelling. No, I'm not even joking here. There was too much yelling. Oh boy. Now, the game had two big controversies. One was the paid DLC that basically completed the game. Yes, the game was released unfinished, but the added DLC was more lore-heavy and were mostly there for players who wanted more exposition on the world. The other controversy came from the Hindu people. Rajan Zed, the president of the Universal Society of Hinduism, stated that if developers cannot accurately and authentically deliver religious imagery and symbolism, then they should not unnecessarily poke into religion. This is a major reason why Asura's Wrath isn't talked about much anymore. Well, that and it was released at a bad time. Considering that the PS Vita basically launched a day after Asura punched his way into the game market, many people didn't even bat an eye at the Angry Man. And also, Mass Effect 3 was released 2 weeks after Asura's Wrath. That didn't exactly help either. While CyberConnect 2 still has been making games, albeit licensed games like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot or Naruto Shippuden Ultra Ninja Storm, none will ever be as creative or as wild as Asura's Wrath. And with that, this game has been Unearthed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.